Thank you, devotees. Reading 5.16, so we'll read 5.17. Nice sloka. Tad buddhayaha, tad atmanaha, tad nishtaha, tad prayanaha. Gacchantya punaravartim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. So this means it talks about the sthiti which is characteristic. Sthiti means the state that is characteristic of the prayojan, the goal. The goal is Tatparayanaha. This is the goal. Tatparayanaha means Narayana Parayana, Krishna Parayana. So Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita, Kamakrodha Parayanaha ihante kamabhogartam anyayena artha sanchayam. So one another type of Parayana, Krishna says of the Asuras, Kamakrodha Parayanaha. They have taken shelter of lust and anger. So to take shelter of Krishna means to be confident that I am following Krishna's instruction. Definitely I am protected. There will be no problem to me. Correct. So if you're following the health plan of a reputed doctor, definitely, you're not probable to have a lot of health issues because you're following a reputable doctor. Similarly, Krishna is our doctor. And anyone who comes under his shelter, Tatparayanaha, can be very sure that I am following Krishna's instructions through the parampara, and I'm certain that I will go back to Godhead. So this is called Tatparayanaha. I'm certain that I will receive His grace very soon. I will receive the shade of His lotus feet very soon because I'm following His orders. So this is called faith. So this is the state of a person who's Tatparayanaha. Narayana para sarve. Or Muktana api siddhanam Narayana Parayana Sudurlabha Prashantatma Kotishu api Mahamune. So the best person amongst all the muktas are those who are Narayana Parayana, one who has taken shelter of Krishna Narayana. So Tat Buddhayaha. So when this is happening, how do we know we are advancing in knowledge? The answer is 5.17. How do I know if I have become purified? The answer is 5.17. So if a person is in knowledge, he is in jnana, what will happen? Nirdhuta, he will be purified. Dhuta, dust. Dhuli, all of them mean dirt. So nirdhuta, without any dirt, without any dust. Jnana nirdhuta, right? He has been cleansed of all dirt and kalmashaha, nirdhuta kalmashaha, and all forms of duplicities. All forms of misgivings, all forms of doubts are all removed by this jnana. So, and what is the symptom of this jnana? The symptom of the jnana, complete jnanam, complete purification is that one is fixed in Krishna consciousness. So, there is nothing more to know about the Lord. Prabhupada says the purport, he is the last word in the absolute truth. So anyone whose mind, his intelligence, his faith and refuge are always in Krishna is undoubtedly washed clean of all misgivings, Prabhupada says, and is in perfect knowledge in everything concerning transcendence. A Krishna conscious person can thoroughly understand that there is simultaneous identity and individuality in Krishna, And equipped with such transcendental knowledge, one can make steady progress on the path of liberation. So let's break it down each one. Let's go one by one. Tad buddhayaha, tad atmanaha, tad nishthaha, tad parayanaha. Very nice. So tad buddhayaha. So first of all, what should surrender? In order to completely surrender to Krishna, what should surrender first? Buddhi. This is the first thing that has to surrender. Without the buddhi surrendering to Krishna, the other things will not follow. So first buddhi comes, and then tadatmanaha. Tadatmanaha is our mind. And then nishthaha. Then basically our conscious, our false ego. Then nishthaha. Tatparayanaha. Then the soul itself has taken shelter. Right. So then nishthaha. So in this way we are going progressively from one to the other, one to the other, and in this way completely place our entire self, Atma Nivedanam, in Krishna. So, what does it mean to say the intelligence should be fixed in Supreme? So, one must be very strongly convinced about the truth of what is the nature of this world according to the Bhagavad Gita. This is Sambandha Jnana. And only if this truth is strongly convinced, we won't react to this world very adversely or pleasantly. So when we can get hurt by this world, or we can become falsely encouraged by this world, but a person who knows the nature of this world will understand any enjoyment or suffering of this world, independent of Krishna, has actually no existence whatsoever. So we are trying to see this world independent of Krishna. But actually, such a thing doesn't exist. So this is called fixing our intelligence on Krishna. Krishna also mentions elsewhere, Buddha, sorry, what is it? Where is it? Buddhau sharanam anvicha kripanaha phalahetavaha. Right? Buddhau sharanam anvicha. Using your buddhi, Buddhau sharanam anvicha. You have to surrender with our intelligence. When our intelligence is understood that surrender to Krishna is not a choice. We understand what is Krishna. Surrender to Krishna is not like some terrorist comes, and tries to rob me of something, and then I have to raise both my hands, and he robs me of all the nice things I had in this world. Right now, this is how we conceive of surrender. So when we understand Krishna properly, we will also understand surrender properly. Right now, we misunderstand surrender. That is why we don't want to surrender. Correct. So, at least talking about myself, I can't say we don't want to surrender for sure. I don't want to surrender because I misunderstand surrender. And I misunderstand surrender because I misunderstand Krishna. So when one gets vastava knowledge, vastavikam jnanam, of the vastava vastu, real knowledge about the real person, then surrender will not appear burdensome. Surrender will appear inviting. When surrender appears more and more inviting, then we can be very sure that our knowledge about Krishna is becoming more and more real, it's becoming more and more genuine. So the spiritual master is becoming pleased with our efforts, and he is reciprocating with our service, and he is blessing us with his knowledge. So when you are excited, enthralled by the idea of going back to Godhead, when we can understand, yes, spiritual world is a real place. So all of this has to happen on the level of the intelligence. The intelligence has to become purified, because what is attached to this world actually is not the mind. Mind is not our problem actually. What our problem is our intelligence. Many people say my mind is very distracted. See, mind is distracted because the intelligence does not know for a certain what is worthy of pursuing. And that's why the mind is going here and there. If the intelligence can have a very strong understanding of what is real and what is unreal, the mind cannot go here and there. So we must have this idea very clearly. Maybe when we come to Bhagavad Gita, very as like what do you say, as an introductory class, it's okay to say mind is distracted. I need to control my mind. But Krishna even mentions to Arjuna, right, in the sixth chapter, right, asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalaha abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Right. So we have to do abhyasam. How can the mind do abhyasam? The mind can do abhyasam only when it is aware of what the goal of that abhyasam, what is sambandha, what is abhideya, what is prayojana. Right? So Krishna is telling to abhideya. If you do abhideya, which means you have abhyasam, then by more and more doing abhyasam, then automatically there is renunciation of material thoughts. And when there is renunciation of material thoughts, automatically the mind becomes peaceful. So we are all conditioned right now. And conditioned means all of us are not going on full efficiency. Whatever we think of as ourselves is not actually the real self. Whatever we think of as our problems and whatever we think of as possibilities are not actually true. Our possibilities change depending on our detachment from the matter and attachment to Krishna. So sometimes you think this is what is possible. I have this issue. I have this problem. I have. So all of this perception is based on the conditioned self, conditioned idea of who I am. So when the soul becomes detached from matter, the possibilities are different. Just like Indra can go to so many places. The possibilities become different for Indra. He is also a Jiva, I am also a Jiva. But what is the difference between me and Indra? Indra is less conditioned, I am more conditioned. So because Indra Dev is less conditioned, he can do a far better things. So what is the difference between me and Brahmaji? Brahmaji is less conditioned. Very no conditioning at all, actually, because he's a pure devotee. But I'm conditioned, so I'm supposed to function within this sphere. Prabhupada is able to preach the whole world in 12 years because there is no conditioning. So right now, I can say, I can do this, I can surrender, I cannot surrender, I like spiritual life, I don't like spiritual life. So all of this is revisited when the intelligence is awakened to appropriate knowledge. So what destroys conditioning is our awakening of knowledge of who we are, who's Krishna, and what is the nature of this world. So when we have this understanding, what Prabhupada says in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, so I was hearing a lecture of Bhanu Swami Maharaj. He said, Sambandha Jnana is very simple. What is Sambandha Jnana? Just read the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, and if you accept the introduction of Bhagavad Gita in toto, then you have Sambandha Jnana. That's it. Very simple, right? Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ishvara, and then what is the Jiva, what is Prakriti, what is Kala, and what is Karma. If I understand all these things and the relationship between both, I shouldn't have any issues actually. But I do not accept the Sambandha Jnana because the Buddhi is invested to research matter, to expand matter. The Buddhi is not understanding what is the reality of this world. So the Buddhi is infested with the mode of passion and ignorance. The Buddhi is not thinking, what is my problem? Who am I? And like, why do I feel bad? So this is not investigating my own life. Okay, the Buddhi is actually unquestioningly pursuing an idea of enjoyment and trying to expand it. So this is the real issue actually. So tad buddhayaha. So if our intelligence is fixed in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness nicely, then the mind will also come very easily. Tad atmanaha. Then the mind will be also fixed in Krishna. Tad nishthaha. Then our faith, yes, Krishna will protect me. It will appear more realistic. It won't appear like a fanatical idea. It will appear realistic. Who am I? Who's Krishna? It will be very natural. Tanishtaha. Like how Prahlad Maharaj's Nishtha was very natural. It's very sahaja, very natural. Sahajiya. Sahajiya doesn't mean bad. Sahajiya means very natural. So sometimes we read in Prabhupada's books, of sahaja, sahajiya. So that it has a bad connotation when it usually is used alongside with prakrita sahajiya, which means something that is natural but actually still materialistic. So it's you're imitating perfection. So that is bad. But when one is actually perfect in Krishna consciousness, then it is actually very naturally one is fixed in the Lord. So and then, yes, so then naturally this is the symptom of a person who is advanced in knowledge. He becomes fully free from all misgivings, and then he's free from all impurities. So what we have to do is to uh, engage our intelligence, engage whatever sense of analysis we have, engage our sense of introspection, planning, strategy. All these are functions of intelligence, right? Your long-term planning, short-term planning, how do you execute, how do you prioritize? All of these are functions of intelligence. So more and more we use these functions of intelligence, like in project management, they have all of these different product, like this chart, Gantt chart, uh, so many what do you say frameworks they have, right? How am I going to release this project and how soon, how many stakeholders are there and how is this communication, what are the dependencies? There is so much strategy. People are using their intelligence to fasten a process or investigate a process, do root cause analysis. They're doing so much, right, with your intelligence, all oriented towards improving an external process that has nothing to do with the soul. So if we use our intelligence, at least during the time we are not at work, to investigate actually what is of substance, then that is a good, appropriate use of our intelligence. So that will free us from all misgivings. I'll stop here. Any questions or comments on that?